The hum of the station was a low, constant reminder of the silence beyond. Commander Alara Voss floated effortlessly through the central hub of Orpheus Station, her fingers brushing the handrail more out of habit than need. It had been 7 months since Earth's gravity had last pulled at her bones, and the absence no longer felt foreign, just eerily quiet, like a conversation that had trailed off and never resumed. Below her, or what used to be below, Dr. Kaido Ren's legs were coiled to a set of foot loops, his head bent over a floating tablet that shifted minutely with each breath he took. Ilera took in the furrow of his brow, the way his lips moved silently with calculation. Kaido had always been meticulous, obsessively so, but since the last transmission blackout, he hadn't left the research module for more than a few hours at a time. "Still no change?" she asked. Kaido didn't look up. "Still adapting, if that's what you want to call it." Ilera pushed herself into a gentle spin, pivoting to face him head-on. "Meaning?" He finally raised his gaze. "Meaning our nervous systems are rewriting themselves. Ilera, fast. Too fast." She narrowed her eyes. "We expected changes. The simulations." "The simulations were guesses," he cut in. "Models based on 6-month tours, not indefinite ones. We were supposed to rotate back by now." Command silent, not absent. "And how long until we can't tell the difference?" he replied, then bit down on the frustration that edged his voice. He took a breath, steadied his tone. "I'm sorry. The data's consistent. Neural remapping, vestibular decay. Our balance, our sense of space. It's not coming back the same way. Not if we return." Ilera let the word settle. "Not if we return. Not when." That distinction clung to the air like condensation. She pushed herself to the viewport. The Earth was a half-lit marble far below, silent, beautiful, unreachable. She had loved it once. Still did. But the distance was getting harder to cross in her mind. A faint shuffle behind her. Then a voice, clearer, warmer. "Hey, Commander!" Lieutenant Mireille Koss floated in, her movement too sharp, too eager. She was still in her first year, still thinking of the station as an adventure, not a sentence. "Yes, Lieutenant?" "We've got a situation in Storage Bay 4. Jamal said the container seals failed again." Of course they had. The seals weren't rated for more than a year of zero-G rotation, and they'd been out here 15 months. Maybe more, depending on how one counted the miss logs during blackout. Ilera straightened herself with a push and gesture for Kaido to follow. "Let's go." They moved together through the corridor, weightless, yet bound by the discipline of motion. In zero gravity, every action was choreography. Every mistake could break bones, shatter instruments. Or worse, tear the fragile thread of order that held them all together. Bay 4 was dim when they arrived. Specialist Jamal Neer was anchored near the bulkhead, his body coiled like a question mark as he tried to seal the lid of a floating crate. A pungent tang of synthetic plastic and dried protein packs lingered in the air. "It's the thermal glue," he said before they could ask. "Stiffen up in the cold sector. The recyclers aren't cycling heat evenly." Kaido brushed past, his fingers grazing the crate. He pulled the lid free and frowned. Inside, the rations were dusted with a pale mold, delicate, nearly beautiful. "That's not from Earth," he murmured. "What?" Ilera leaned in. "It's spreading too fast. And the pattern, those fractal edges, they're adapting to the synthetic packaging. We brought sterile materials up here. If this evolved in Zurgi," he let the implication hang. Mireille paled. "We've been eating from these stores." "It's in the sealed packs too?" Ilera asked. "Unclear. We'll run tests," Kaido said. "But we need to isolate this bay." Ilera nodded. "Do it. And double seal the samples. I want lab results within 24 hours. As they turned to go, Jamal caught her arm. "Commander, if it's in the food, if we've already ingested it. Then we'll deal with that when we confirm it. Right now, we don't have a problem. We have a theory." But even as she said it, Ilera knew it wasn't true. There were too many ifs, too many unspoken consequences. Back in the central hub, the artificial light seemed too bright, the air too still. The station had always been a marvel of human achievement, a testament to adaptability. But it wasn't built for permanence. None of them were. The longer they stayed, the more it changed them, not just in muscle tone or bone density, but something deeper. Kaido sat across from her in the shared lounge, a bag of rehydrated coffee hovering between them. Neither of them reached for it. "You know," he said quietly, "I ran a cross-analysis of our last 6 medical logs. Mirai's cortisol levels are spiking. So are Jamal's. You've got low REM cycles, and my short-term recall's shot to hell. It's not just physical adaptation. It's behavioral drift. Meaning," he hesitated, "meaning we're not just surviving zero gravity anymore. We're becoming something else in it." Alara didn't speak. She didn't have to. The truth had been whispering at the edge of her thoughts for weeks, maybe months. Gravity hadn't just shaped human life. It had anchored it. Without it, they were floating farther than they'd ever intended, from Earth, from biology, from themselves. The station creaked softly as it adjusted its solar wings. The hum rose, then fell. Kaido met her eyes. "What happens if we can't go back?" Alara stared into the dark pain beyond them, where Earth drifted like a ghost. "Then we find a way to move forward," she said. But the words felt heavier than anything the station could hold. Jamal Near didn't remember the dream, but he woke with his hands clenched and his jaw locked so tight it sent pain through his temples. The sleeping bag floated around him like a loose cocoon, tethered to the wall with Velcro patches peeling at the edges. His pulse was erratic, breath shallow. Not fear, not quite. Something worse, something harder to name. He checked the time. 4:32 Universal Time Coordinated. Ship time. Irrelevant. Up here, time had lost the way to carry it on Earth. He unlatched himself from the sleeping cell and pushed out into the darkened corridor. There were no windows in this wing of Orpheus Station, only panels that blinked green when touched. He didn't touch them. He didn't need light to find his way to the medbay anymore. His body remembered it. Muscle memory had filled the space gravity left behind. Kaido was already there, back hunched, eyes locked on the glowing schematic of a human spine. It twisted slowly in projection, vertebrae separated wider than Jamal remembered from anatomy class. "You didn't sleep again," Kaido said without looking up. "Didn't feel like it," Jamal muttered. He floated closer. "That mine, partially." Kaido tapped a section near the lumbar. "These are yours. Bone density's down another 3%. I've doubled my resistance band time. You're still losing structure. You all are. Except you." Kaido gave a dry laugh. "That's because I've stopped measuring mine." Jamal frowned. "That's supposed to be funny?" "Only if you like irony." Kaido leaned back, eyes hollow. "I ran a scan on Mirai this morning. She's showing early signs of ocular shift, bulging at the optic nerve. That's permanent, right?" Kaido didn't answer. Jamal let the silence settle. Then Alara, "No, I briefed her last night. And she wants full scans on all of us. Again, including herself. She didn't say it, but I think she's starting to feel it too." Jamal felt a twinge between his ribs. Phantom tension. It wasn't pain. Not yet, but it would be. He reached for the railing and steadied himself. "What's the plan?" "We adapt," Kaido said, almost mechanically. "Or we don't." Alara floated into medbay a few minutes later, hair still wet from her sonic rinse, expression unreadable. Her eyes flicked from Jamal to Kaido, then to the scan still hovering between them. "I want full biometric scans on everyone by 1200, she said. Kaido nodded. "Already started. Double hydration protocols. Add a third resistance set to everyone's regimen. Start Mirai on visual exercises. We're already max on oxygen cycling," Kaido said. "Then reprioritize. No more floating recreational time unless it's exercise adjacent. We're degrading. I won't let us drift into collapse just because Earth's forgotten to call back." Jamal didn't move. "Do you really think they've forgotten?" Alara met his eyes. Her voice was steady. "No, but I think they don't know what to say." Later that day, Alara reviewed her own scan in private. She hadn't told the others yet, but her spine was beginning to curve, a slow S-bend forming between her shoulder blades. Her calves had shrunk. She'd stopped recognizing her own reflection 2 weeks ago. She hadn't told them about the tremors, either. They came in quiet pulses, barely noticeable unless she was trying to thread a clasp or clip a tether. She told herself it was stress, fatigue. But deep down she knew zero gravity was stripping them of who they were, one cell at a time. When Mireille entered the lab for her visual exam, her eyes were bright, but there was a thinness to her voice that hadn't been there before. "Had another dream," she said, unprompted. "This time I was falling. Not just floating, falling, like I was being pulled somewhere." Kaido raised an eyebrow. "Pulled where?" "Nowhere. It never stopped." He didn't respond, just gestured toward the retinal scanner. "Hold still." Mireille pressed her forehead against the pad. Her breath fogged the glass briefly before she remembered to hold it. "You're adjusting," he said. "That good." "It's survival, not comfort." Mireille pulled back and gave a humorless smile. "I miss the ground, Doctor." "We all do." She lingered a second longer, then drifted out without another word. By the time Jamal returned for his scan, the air in the medbay felt heavier, even though the atmosphere regulators hadn't changed. "You ever wonder what we'll be like if we stay here?" Jamal asked as he laid back into the scanner cradle. "Not just sick. Different." Kaido didn't look up. Define different. Like, not built for Earth anymore. Like we're becoming something else. A new species. Kaido paused. "If we survive long enough to reproduce. Maybe, but we weren't designed to live in free fall. Every system we have, every cell, expects weight, pressure, touch." Jamal closed his eyes as the scanner pulsed over him. "So what happens when the body lets go of that expectation?" Kaido didn't answer, but the question stayed with him, long after the scans were filed, long after the station lights dimmed for night cycle. That evening, Ilera gathered them in the observation module. It was the only part of Orpheus with full viewing pane, offering an unobstructed view of the stars, and the Earth, distant and silent. "We're approaching a threshold," she began. "Physically, mentally, we don't have the supplies to maintain pre-adaptation routines much longer." Jamal folded his arms. "You thinking long-term now?" "I'm thinking survival," she replied. "If Earth isn't coming, we need to start thinking about what it means to live here, not just wait to leave." Mireille looked stricken. "You think they're not coming back for us?" "I think we don't get to assume anything anymore." Kaido spoke quietly. "If we do adapt, fully, there may be no going back." Ilera nodded. "Then we adapt knowing that. On purpose. We log it, we study it, and we do it together." Outside, the Earth was a pale sapphire disk in the void. Beautiful, untouchable. Inside, for people floated in silence, each measuring the distance between who they were and what they were becoming. Ilera broke the stillness. "We were sent to study long-term effects. Now we are the study." No one replied, but no one argued either. And somewhere behind her sternum, Ilera felt that tremor again, a flutter of resistance. Or maybe the last echo of gravity, still trying to call her home. Ilera watched the chess pieces drift between her and Kaido, suspended on thin magnetic fields in a board designed more for ritual than strategy. Neither of them had touched a piece in 10 minutes. The game was just noise, something to distract from the silence that had settled over Orpheus Station like a second skin. "I keep thinking about sound," Kaido said finally. "How we used to hear wind. Leaves. Water hitting concrete." Ilera didn't look up. "You think we'll forget those sounds completely?" "I think we already have." Across the corridor, Mireille's laughter broke the quiet. Not joyful, not even amused, just sharp, slightly too loud. She was in the rec module with Jamal, tossing Velcro balls at the wall with increasing speed, like she was trying to force her muscles into remembering how to throw with weight. "You're getting worse," Jamal called, dodging a bounce off that ricocheted toward his face. "I'm not getting worse." Mireille shot back. "The ball's just not obeying." "Then maybe we've already lost control." They were joking, but there was truth in it. Everyone on the station had started talking that way, in metaphors, in hedged humor. Alara noted it like a physician tracking symptoms. Language thinning, patience fraying. The station wasn't just warping their bodies. It was wearing down their minds. Later, during the daily briefing, Alara floated in front of the central console while the others braced themselves against the walls, knee hooks or magnetic pads keeping them tethered. She read the report from Kaido's latest behavioral analysis. The words came out clinical, precise. Sleep cycles are down an average of 30%. Stress hormones remain elevated. Reaction times are slowing. Mild aphasia reported in 2 cases. Social cohesion, she paused, is deteriorating. Jamal shifted. We're still here, still doing our jobs. Barely, Kaido said. He didn't bother softening it. No one's cracked yet. Mirai added. That's not the benchmark, Alara replied. Not cracking doesn't mean we're functioning. We're changing, and the changes are starting to show. They all knew it. Jamal had stopped making music. His guitar floated in the storage module, untouched. Mirai had begun narrating her own movements under her breath, like she needed a reminder she existed. And Kaido, once meticulous, now logged half his data with incomplete tags. As for Alara, she couldn't remember the last time she slept a full cycle without dreaming of falling. Kaido spoke up again. We need structured contact, talk sessions, mandatory group interactions, something beyond operational briefings. We've been together for nearly a year, Mirai said. I think we've interacted enough. Not like this, he replied. Not intentionally. I'll approve it, Alara said. 1 hour every other cycle. No mission talk. Jamal gave a half smile. You planning to moderate that, Commander? No, I'll be participating. The first session was a disaster. No one spoke. Mirai picked at the sleeve of her uniform while Jamal stared out the viewport, lips moving faintly. Kaido tried to prompt him, asking about childhood memories, but every answer fell flat, truncated. Alara tried next. What's the one thing you missed that you didn't think you would? Silence. Then, smells, Jamal said. Bad ones. Garbage. Gasoline. The stink of summer heat off concrete. Anything that reminded you were alive. Gravity. Mirai added. Not just falling. Lying down. Hugging. I didn't think I'd miss hugging. Kaido said nothing. Alara looked at him. You. He hesitated. My mother's hands. I used to think she was too stern, always fixing my collar, straightening my back. But now I remember her hands, the weight of them, how they grounded me. No one spoke after that, but it wasn't a failure. Something had shifted. The honesty had thinned the air, made the silence less suffocating. The sessions continued. Slowly, they became less formal. Jamal started composing again, tapping rhythmic patterns on metal panels and recording loops. Mirai painted on the walls with suspended droplets of colored gel, letting the blobs float like planets. Kaido began a digital journal, audio entries that whispered to the comms late at night. Alara listened to them sometimes. Never asked his permission, just listened. Still, beneath the surface, the tension remained. One day, Kaido called her to the lab with a tone she hadn't heard before. Not urgency, resignation. He pointed to the latest neural scans. Mirai's hippocampus shows signs of structural compression, spatial memory degradation. Her sense of orientation is collapsing. She's been disoriented? She hasn't said, but yes, she's masking it. Alara exhaled slowly. Can it be reversed? If we get her back to Earth. Soon. Maybe. And if we don't... Kaido looked at her. She'll start losing herself. Later that shift, Alara found Mirai alone in the observatory, drifting in a slow spin. You knew, Alara said gently. Mirai didn't turn. It's like my mind doesn't stick to things anymore. I forget where I am in a sentence. Or I remember a place that doesn't exist. Why didn't you say anything? I didn't want to be the one who made it real. Alara floated beside her, silent for a moment. Then she asked, If we found a way to go back, would you? Mirai's lips parted, then closed again. I don't know. Part of me thinks this is the only version of me that makes sense now. Ilara didn't answer. She didn't need to. The conflict was no longer just about survival. It was about identity. The person Mireille had been was slipping through her fingers. And maybe, just maybe, they all were. That night, the comms buzzed with static. Not unusual, but this time, something cut through it. A single tone. Then a signal, fragmented, weak. Ilara raced to the console, heart pounding. Kaito appeared seconds later, eyes wide. They stared at the stream of data. It was Earth, alive, reaching, but the message was incomplete, cut off mid-ping. Ilara gripped the console rail. They're trying to contact us. Kaito leaned in, and they don't know if we're still human. Ilara didn't speak. Her thoughts were already 1,000 miles ahead, spinning like the orbit they could no longer feel. Toward a question none of them were ready to answer. What happens if Earth opens a door again, and we've changed too much to walk through it? The stars outside blinked indifferently, but inside, the station held its breath. The return signal came in broken intervals, 4 tones, a pause, static, then a distorted fragment of speech. Kaito spent 2 full cycles decoding the pattern, isolating waves, filtering noise through layers of older software patched together with code. He barely remembered how to write. He didn't sleep, didn't eat. When Ilara came to check on him, he didn't look up, just muttered, "It's not them I'm worried about." Ilara hovered beside him, arms folded tight across her chest. "What are you saying?" Kaito leaned back, his voice dry. "I think they've changed protocols. Encryption's different. The voice was automated. That wasn't a person. It was a system." Mireille floated silently in the corridor, listening from the shadows. She'd begun doing that more often, appearing without sound, watching conversations like she was outside them. "They don't know we're still alive," she said softly. "They're just sending pulses, ghost messages." Jamal entered behind her, pushing himself along the wall with 2 fingers. "Or they do know, and this is how they speak to us now." No one answered. That night, Ilara initiated a full systems check. One by one, the station's lights blinked to life, diagnostics scrolling across every available surface. There had been glitches in the last few weeks. Subtle things, a delay in the airlock sequence, lights that flickered. The filtration system had begun to hiss louder than usual. "We need to prepare for contact," she told the crew. "Not just technically, psychologically." "You think they're coming?" Mireille asked. "I think they might," Ilara said. "And I think we need to decide who we are when they do." The silence that followed was heavier than anything gravity could offer. They spent the next cycle recording personal logs. Ilara made it mandatory. Each log was to include not only a status update, but a personal truth, something honest, something human. Jamal's voice crackled through the comms first. "I used to imagine myself famous. Stage lights, applause. But now I just want to be remembered. Not for the mission, for being real, for surviving this." Mireille's entry was more fragmented. "Sometimes I forget my mother's name, but I remember her eyes. She used to squint when she laughed. I'm afraid I'll forget that too." Kaito's was clinical, but it cracked at the edges. "I joined this mission to study how humans adapt, but I failed to account for myself. I'm scared of forgetting what I looked like before this." Ilara recorded hers last. "They sent us to observe the future, but maybe we became it. We're the answer to a question they haven't asked yet." Afterward, they gathered in the observatory. Earth was closer now, at least visually. A reminder of everything they'd left, and everything they might never return to. "We don't look like them anymore," Jamal said. "We don't even move like them." "We've evolved," Kaito said. "Rapidly. Under pressure. Mutated." Mireille countered. "No," Ilara said. "Transformed." None of them had noticed it happening. Bones reshaping. Organs adjusting. Minds bending. Not broken, just altered. Ilara knew if they touched Earth's surface again, it might crush them. Their muscles wouldn't hold. Their lungs might forget how to breathe thick air. Their minds, tuned to stillness, might splinter under gravity's demand. So she posed a question no one had yet dared speak aloud. "If Earth asks us to come home, do we say yes?" Silence. Then Jamal, "Home's an idea. I don't think we belong to it anymore. Mireille nodded. It's like asking a butterfly to crawl back into a cocoon. But we're not butterflies, Kaito said. Maybe not, Elaire replied. But we're something else. And that has to matter. In the next cycle, the signal returned, stronger. This time, the voice was clear. Orpheus Station, respond. This is Yesier Control. A retrieval vessel is en route. Estimated arrival, 14 days. Jamal stared at the console, jaw slack. They're really coming. Elaire didn't smile. It's not over. This is the beginning of something else. They prepared in shifts, ran diagnostics, purged non-essential data, packed what little personal items they had. Jamal retrieved his guitar. Mireille took down her gel art, droplets collapsing as she gathered them. Kaito backed up his journal onto an old drive, labeled it with a strip of Velcro. Echoes. Elaire floated in the command center, rewatching Earth's message over and over. Not for the words, but for the tone. It was efficient, emotionless, as if expecting to recover instruments, not people. The day before arrival, Kaito approached her, eyes darker than usual. What if they don't accept who we are now? They don't have to, she said. We just need to know that we do. The arrival was quiet, a shimmer of light in the distance, growing into a shape that bristled with antennas and retro thrusters. No fanfare, no cheering, just a slow lock of docking clamps and the hiss of pressurization. The voice crackled again. Orpheus, prepare for reintegration. Transfer protocols initiated. Elaire looked at her crew. Their bodies were leaner, movements slower. But their eyes, those hadn't changed. Not in the ways that mattered. They floated side by side, staring at the vessel. The door stood open. Earth was waiting. Final call, Elaire said softly. You don't have to go. But if you do, you go as you are. Jamal drifted forward first. He didn't speak, but his gaze was steady. Mireille followed, slower. Her fingers brushed the wall, as if saying goodbye to the station itself. Kaito lingered. We're not the study anymore, he whispered. We're the story. Elaire was the last to move. She turned once, letting her eyes take in every detail. The scuff panels, the fading logs, the silence that had once threatened to crush them, now cradling them like home. And then, one by one, they passed through the door, not returning, arriving. The retrieval vessel closed behind them with a whisper of compressed air. Earth would ask questions. Earth would scan, probe, measure. But none of that mattered, because gravity was waiting, and so were they.